All right, we're back, or at least I'm back. Julian has been replaced by Becky Bell for the rest of the afternoon. So those of you that were enjoying her commentary yesterday, we brought her right back for you. Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm doing so great, and I can't promise that I'm going to be quite as insanely knowledgeable and I'm going to know every hex that comes on board the same way that Julian was able to. But I'm here, I'm going to do my best, and we're going to have a great time, and we're going to watch some Legacy. I'm excited. I've been very hyped about every deck that I've seen you and Julian cover earlier in the day, and I love that Julian was like, "This is just like an EDH Sunday," and it has a nice like lighthearted feel.
Mhm.
But that being said, our next matchup may be going to feel a little bit harsher than some of the other ones that you've been
Well,
watching on the
we
day.
have had, Oops All Spells, and we've
I
had Mono
loved
Red
watching
Prison
himself
and
spells.
Sneak Attack, and this round we've got a Delver Mirror. Well, okay, I don't want to offend. I was told that might be offensive to some people. It's
You
not a
call it a
Delver
Delvermere?
Mirror. It's even we even have a list as a Delver Mirror. Okay, Adam Wasburn-Moses is not playing Delver. He is playing very similar to the Isaac Bullwinkle deck list, which is more of
Mhm.
a slightly more controlling blue-red mid-range list with no Delvers
Mm.
and with a couple predicts. Now Isaac never drew one in the matches we had him on, so that's an interesting development. Whereas Will is playing a more traditional Delver deck and actually has Delvers, so he's gonna be lower to the ground. We'll see how this plays out. I thought his advantage might be being able to get under Adam Wasburn-Moses. That's clearly not happening in game one. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, Daze gonna make sure that this Delver is protected. So clearly thinking that this Delver might be an important part of the deck compared to Adam.
Yeah, a lot of spells were just a whole flurry of spells were just cast on turn 2 there, on Adam's turn 2. But we're left with, okay, Delver and Dragon Rage versus Dragon Rage. No one has Delirium yet. Expressive Iteration got pitched to Forest, which is a pretty valuable card in the matchup. But Will wants to keep his board presence here. And we'll just see who gets established first.
Yeah, this
And
is going to be pretty interesting to see the difference of these two decks and how this is going to end up playing out. And I know that you and Julian were talking about it a little bit, but it's something that, especially like you've been saying, that this is kind of Isaac Bullwinkle's style of deck that
Mhm.
he's created. And it's always interesting to then see like the person who came up with the innovation and has been like really working on it for a long time play it versus somebody who's like, oh, I think that this sounds like a good idea and giving it a try as well.
Yeah, so Adam and Wasper-Moses here, I mean, plays a ton of Legacy as well. And getting set up here. So these predicts, really, they're going to be powered up by, of course, Brainstorm Ponder and also Mishra's Bauble to look at the top card of your deck and give you foreknowledge to name accurately on predict. So we'll see if that plays a role. Meantime, Adam with a bigger graveyard here, but no Delirium. So his Dragon Rage Challenge does not have to attack. And does Will Kowalczyk even have a second land? Please, player's 5-1, so likely a win and in for top 8.
Yeah, that second land is also a wasteland, but considering that Adam has two lands and one of them being a polluted delta, I can't imagine that Adam would be too sad to be wastelanded here.
Right. Will keep on that ponder there. So his Delver's still waiting to flip. And yeah, mills over an expressive iteration on the surveil. So that's 2 that are gone. But yeah, he just doesn't have the mana to cast them yet.
Yeah, a little unfortunate that the land that was found was in fact that colorless land, and this polluted delta gonna get sacrificed to just keep Adam in a great place. Steam vents, because I saw somebody be like, "Why are they playing steam vents?" And it's like, well, you need to have your two colors, as these expressive iterations on Will's side of the board are certainly telling.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't play 5 volcanic islands, so.
Right. It's not like the old days where the only 1-drops were blue. Now we have
Mhm.
Dragon Rage Channeler. Although I think this was developed when Ragavan was still in the lists. So even though that's gone, I think people just got used to having the extra red source, and so that's where everyone still runs.
And a lot can be said for Dragon Ridge Channeler still staying in, and the more that I see Dragon Ridge Channeler in general, the more I'm just convinced that it's also just an insanely powered one drop.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay, another expressive iteration for Will. This one actually makes it into hand, although still can't be cast, I don't think. And now this 7/7 Murktide. I mean, this is what all these Murktide experts keep telling me, is that in the mirrors, Murktide is the king. So
It certainly looks
Will,
better than this insectile aberration that just
yeah,
finally flipped for Will's side. Normally, when you're playing that Delver, you really want it to flip early, and now that it's finally flipped and it's facing down a dragon, I think that I would pick the dragon over the insect as well.
yeah, dragons versus insects every time. Go with the dragon. I mean, it's just on size alone. You 7 versus 3. And even that's not realistic. It should be more like 200 versus a 1. Like, what's a mosquito going to do to, like, a fire-breathing, flame-breathing dragon? It's just nothing.
That being
Well,
said, mosquitoes, extremely annoying.
sure, annoying, yes, but not like life-threatening like dragons are. So Adam gets going here. Can't Expressive Iteration into a ponder, keeping a lot of her surveil triggers. Oh, I'm sorry. The shredder gets binned this time. And the attack's already happened. And Will's got one more hit from this Murktide Regent is lethal. So
Yeah. But we do have a flyer. We're seems like pretty far from delirium. Looks like we just have instant and sorcery in the yard, unless there's something past that force of will that we can't make out, which I would guess would likely be a land, if anything. So we could potentially be close to delirium, and if we do that in second main phase, could allow for the Dragon Rage channeler to block, which wouldn't be too scary.
right. I mean, that would be nice actually, because you certainly Will's avoided the nightmare scenario where Dragon Channel chump attacks into a fresh Murktide.
Yes.
We got past that.
Dodged one bullet, and now we're trying to figure out how we make it past this next one that is still the same Dragon Rage channeler, or the same Murktide Regent.
All right. So Pyroblast on Expressive Iteration, something that players are not shy about running these days. Main deck Pyroblasts in a lot of these blue-red decks. Adam running a pair, and Will, let me glance at the side list. The sideboard also has 2. So both players with 2 Pyroblasts main deck, and DRC forced to attack here in for 3, which Adam will gladly take.
Yeah, does not care about losing that amount of life, and I bet Will is a little bit envious of that Pyroblast right about now.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I mean, this Dragon Rage Challenger, it's basically like a removal spell. Adam is just like absorbing 3 damage. I mean, Dragon Rage Challenger having no. Actually, it's 1 damage. It's not even delirium yet.
Oh, we're just okay.
Yeah. And Adam Wasburn-Moses fetches out Mystic Sanctuary, and Will Kowalczyk doesn't feel like his deck can keep up this. In fact, he might have just been down the board. If that was a recurred
Yeah.
Pyroblast, take out the
Yep.
Delver, Murktide had a lethal attack, and that will wrap game 1. Simple as
Yeah.
that.
And I mean, I guess we're getting to see exactly the strength of some of these decks. Though both are playing for Murktide Regent, and we could have just as easily seen Will either draw one of the Pyroblasts or one of the Murktide Regents and been able to kind of keep up in that situation. So I don't think that this is a showing of like, oh, one of these is a Delver list is better than the other quite yet. And I think that once we get to take a look at their sideboards and see who potentially is coming a little bit more well equipped for the mirror, that's going to be the real telling part. So let's start with Adam Wasburn-Moses's.
All right, so this is the list shared more or less with Isaac Bullwinkle with predicts in the main deck and no Delver of Secret's presence. So looking at the sideboard, we can see a couple copies of Maddening Hex. Isaac just had 1. Adam has 2 over here. There's a counterbalance on the board. That's the thing that was switched between the 2 lists, the numbers of counterbalance and Maddening Hex. And we see additional blasts. So, I mean, counterbalance, we're blind flipping most of the time. Sometimes we can set it up with Brainstorm or Cantrip. Sometimes we know with Mishra's Bauble, but these players have clearly determined they think it's worthwhile, even blind.
Yeah, and I can kind of agree with them. Taking a look at the metagame, it does look like a lot of people are bringing this Izzet Delver list. And then even if you're not playing an Izzet Delver deck, a lot of people are playing either these Simic style decks, things like Sneak and Show are still popular. So the chances that you're running into lists that it at least kind of interacts with are pretty good, and then you've got so much filtering in things like the brainstorms and the ponders that you'll end up likely being able to just not worry about some of those niche cards.
All right, let's go ahead and look at Will's list real quick. It is slightly different. There are Delver of Secrets. So more 1-drops. Do we have... There we go, Will's deck list. So double up the number of 1-drops. No predicts. And I believe, yeah, only 1 Mishra's Bauble as opposed to 4. So those are really the standout differences in the main. Sideboards are similar, but no counterbalance here. So, I mean, it's only a 1 of in Adam's list. It's hard to really say, I mean, if it even comes up, whether it's going to have a big impact or not, but we shall see.
Yeah.
Game 2 ready to go.
All right, and Will going to be on the play here, deciding to go ahead and take a mulligan. Looks like Adam has decided to keep 7, which that potentially feels like it could. I don't know. I feel like the mulligans always matter a little bit more when you're playing a mirror.
Sure. Okay. I mean, because a lot of your cards are going to trade
Mhm.
for each other, and then it's, yeah, it can come down to who's got more left over. There's also, I mean, there's so much. I mean, the number of iterations cast, really, I feel like, I mean, not I feel like the hyper relevant cards are the iterations and the Murktide Regents. However, Adam has shredders and Will does not. So there is
Mhm.
more ability to filter lands out late game. Will keeping 6 and on the board with the 1-drop once again.
Oh, it looks like actually Will might have kept 5,
Oh,
which a little bit more rough for
yeah.
sure. Especially, we talked about it. If you're in a mirror match, both of you mulliganing, you're gonna end up with a lot of these 1-for-1s bolt to take down the channeler, and we'll see if will have a follow-up.
Okay. Well, the whole point of playing Delvers is you have more 1-drops than your opponent. So let's see if Will can get on the board here. If not, he kind of gives up the
Ooh.
advantage of playing the Delvers. So once we get further into the game, the Shredders in Adam's deck will become a more useful tool the longer the game goes than the Delvers.
Alright, so Darcy into Bauble in response and bolt it. Just resolving this Surveil, checking out the top card, and Adam may be really having to think about whether this top card should go on the top or bottom, but says, "Hey, you didn't play another creature. I don't think I'm gonna need this other bolt. Let's go ahead, put it in the yard."
Yeah, and that is, I mean, justifiably something worth a second thought. You know, Lightning Bolt does kill everything except Murktide Regent for the most part, and while Murktide is the most important creature, it's not the only one that can make a difference. Also easier to kill all these creatures in sideboard games as the number of blasts has come in. The
Yeah.
number of blasts have skyrocketed from 2 to probably something like 5.
Yeah, exactly. Helps out quite a bit, and we'll see if this Ponder is gonna be able to help out Will here.
There are enough cards in the graveyard for Murktide. There is a Wasteland to take out Adam's Volcanic Island, and there's always, there's always the opportunity or the
Hmm.
possibility in these matchups that someone ends up short a land. Ooh,
Ooh.
and there we go. So, I mean, Will having to expend resources, Pyroblasting a Brainstorm, but Adam is stuck on one island for the moment.
Yeah, you're trying to decide what's scarier, being stuck on one island or having 2 cards in hand. Because Will definitely lower on card advantage, but if Adam can stumble on lands for long enough, Will could probably find something to start to lock this game up, and Darcy, good direction to start in.
Hmm. Yeah, if there's a okay, there's a Hydro Blast. So when I was talking about the blast, I was talking about the red ones, but blue ones work too.
Do take care of those Dragon Rage channelers and add them with 2 of those Hydroblasts in the sideboard.
All right, so Will picks up an extra card off the iteration, so starting to make up for that sluggish start a little bit. And yeah, if he just needs to press the advantage before Adam starts making land drops, which is going to happen eventually. Well, Ponder is something.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, Will is just like, where is a Murktide Regent? Where is something that can start getting a little punchy?
Maddening Hex would work great right now. There were 2 of them in the sideboard, I think, for Will's deck. Let me check that again. I mean, your
There's
opponent being...
one for Will, 2
There's
for
one.
Adam.
Okay, you're right. There's one. But here is the land for Adam. So finally be able to get business going, get red mana once again. No real need to do anything here, as he's got a lot more cards than Will does, and if his the board is stable at the moment, just bide his time and prepare. But if you got something, I guess you can deploy it. Looks like it's going to be a Murktide.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a great situation for Adam. Yeah, I was stuck on lands for a few turns, but all things considered, if you're going to be stuck on lands and your opponent isn't going to commit anything to the board or have anything be able to stick onto the board, the only thing that even got to attempt it was that Dragon Rage Channeler that we Hydro Blasted. So I don't know. Still got to feel pretty good considering that you've got about 4 to 5 cards in hand, and the only thing you're staring down is this 1/1 Delver on turn 7?
Yeah, something like that. All right, Expressive Iteration exchanges with Pyroblast. So Will continues to try and keep Adam light on lands. And flips a red blast. So that's a nice card to draw, but more importantly probably is that the Delver actually gets to turn swing in for 3 damage.
Oh. Taking a look at Will's top of deck with that Mishra's Bauble. Going to be able to draw 2 for turn and for that Bauble going into this one. There is what I think was a Pyroblast in hand, so we could take care of that Insectile Aberration if we're worried about taking too much damage. But with 2 mana, you got to be a little bit careful about how you're expending your resources, and at least trying to get back up to the same amount of lands kind of makes sense, but I guess just going to draw out that blast that we knew about.
Iteration on a red blast. So again, no card advantage progress for Adam. And then here's another Murktide. So this red blast got drawn out by the iteration, and now the Murktide comes down, and it's the biggest creature on the board again. And Will empty-handed. My.
Draws Pyroblast anyway, surveils a Polluted Delta into the yard, and I believe at this point likely has Delirium. Yeah.
And I believe, I think, yeah, so 6 damage comes across. Yeah, and I thought we missed the 3 last turn. So Adam down to 6 now, facing lethal damage with a whole pile of cards in hand. All right, blast back. Don't draw a bolt, please.
Cross fingers. All right, in the pass. All right, we have another Pyroblast, but that doesn't take care of Dragon Rage Channeler.
I believe there's a Petty Theft in hand that would do it. Okay, Dragon Rage Channeler of his own. Let's see, Delirium check. Looks like instant creature artifact land, so I believe...
Do we have a land?
Maybe not. I thought there was one. I'm not sure if... Did Will surveil there? He indicated the Dragon Rage Channeler to indicate I'm going to surveil, but those Brainstorm cards went to hand pretty quickly. I might have just missed it.
Yeah, I might have just looked at the same time as picking up, knowing that one was going to be wanted anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, we call it the honor log. Forgetting to look at the top cards before drawing them with Brainstorm. And attack and a block, trade. Okay, here's a Murktide. Well,
at least we have a Pyroblast in hand for Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, in sideboard games, much easier to deal with Murktide than in game 1.
And that's a big dragon, but thankfully this one weak to a little fire.
Down it goes. Adam's still on 2 land.
You're not playing that many in this format. You're only playing 18.
Sure. I mean, that's true. I guess Will's only on 3, so it's not like it's a colossal
Yeah.
possibly different amount.
I think and the big difference is at this point, like, since we got past that, like, point where they were both just sitting there, draw looking, trying to get Adam off of one land. Since then,
Mhm.
Will has, like, deployed a threat almost every single turn, and Adam, instead of looking for lands, has had to try to stop having a threat on the board.
Right. Okay, iteration into fetch land, and now that there's 3 volcanics on the board, that fetch land could actually find uh Mystic Sanctuary to recur the iteration, if that's what Will chooses that he wants to do.
Looks like that is gonna be the case. Ooh, or Bolt, you know.
Oh yeah, I suppose you could do
Huh.
that.
Yeah,
Bolt
yeah,
seems
yeah,
like
yeah.
Bolt seems like a winner when your opponent's at 3.
Or yeah. We're once again, instead of thinking
Bang.
about going for lethal, we are continuing to look for the fancier plays.
Mhm.
It happened to us yesterday. We're doing it again. Also, in our defense, Will didn't have the graveyard fanned out. Probably safe to assume that there was a bolt somewhere in there, but
Yeah. All right, so Bolt gets blasted, and then another Murktide comes down. Maybe a bit of a shame to run that Bolt just into open mana, but I mean, when Adam knows it's there, as he obviously does from the Mystic Sanctuary, not too big a loss there. Pyroblast hits a Daze. All right, so the game continues on here with Adam at 3. Given that development, one wonders whether if the Murktide was played first, that could have gone a little differently, as Adam, knowing about the Bolt, wouldn't be able to commit mana and then run into a Daze there, or if he did, would have lost the game at that point. So we go on, we go forth. Murktides and Expressive Iterations. Seems to be all that Will's drawing this game. And Blast, I guess he should draw something in the neighborhood of
runner blast.
4. Yeah. Fans of Adam Wasburn-Moses might be on pins and needles here, waiting to see. I mean, any additional top deck Bolt might end the game. Any hit from a creature may end the game. There is a Mystic Sanctuary to reload once again, and Adam this time says, "All right, I can't handle this."
Yeah, a few too many things that I have to worry about. I'm not going to be able to draw answers to all of them. Might as well just say we're all good.
Okay, so even up the score. Going to game number 3 with Adam Wasser-Moses on the play. I am interested to see. We haven't seen the predict. We haven't seen the counterbalance. I'm interested to see some of these not quite, stock card choices impact the games. We haven't seen it yet. He also hasn't lost yet, so it's hard to criticize it. And that one, yeah.
I'm just a little bit curious about like some of the things that would end up. Do you really want to bring in counterbalance? Is that something that you think is extremely important in this matchup, or is it potentially going to just be a little bit too difficult? Because I feel like in those last two games, we were not seeing nearly as much deck manipulation as we're
Mhm.
used to seeing for decks that like to play counterbalance.
I mean, I agree with you on that there isn't. I mean, I generally think of counterbalance without Divine Top as being not worthy of a card. But these players are playing them for a reason. I feel like this matchup is one of the reasons. So I do think they probably came in. And if we saw, so something we could say about these games, these games does not end quickly. There's too much
True.
exchange of resources, bolts and blasts, killing creatures off. So every additional turn of gameplay, counterbalance gets another turn to randomly counter something. And as long as it happens once, you broke even. Also, the ability to filter with fetch lands in play, things like that can actually, age your card selection over time. So I do think it's worth playing, but I would like to see it in action.
Oh, that looks like 3 expressive iterations in this hand for Adam, but I don't know if there were more than 1 or even any lands, so it looks like minimal again.
All right. Well, is this Adam going to 5? Or is this
Think
6?
so.
Yeah, I think it's 5.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree that it's 5.
I miss the old days where you could tell how many mulligans they were on just by how many cards they drew.
You're
We don't have that anymore. I mean,
making
I guess
it.
it's the same now. We just have to wait an extra 10 seconds for the cards to go back. But I don't want to wait 10 seconds. I want to know immediately.
I think in
Anyway,
some ways we all kind of do.
Adam Wasburn-Moses satisfied with 5, although your standards on 5 go down considerably from 7, and opens with just a couple lands here.
Wow, just a lot of fetch lands in play for everybody.
Yeah, nobody drew 1-drops this game.
And I'm trying to decide. You fetch first. No, you fetch first. No, you fetch first.
Come on, boys.
No, I'll
Nobody's playing Stifle here.
Lots of lands in hand this time for Adam. Stuck on him last game at the hands of a Wasteland from Will, but this time looking a little bit more steady. Though
Right,
Will also doing that.
Yeah, so nothing much happening so far. So let me ask you this. Adam Wasburn-Moses reaches his deck is on the left, and he reaches out his left hand. Will has his deck on the left and reaches out and draws a card with his right hand. Are you a same side person, or do you reach across?
Oh. Now I'm trying to think what I do. I don't even do I even know? I think I'm a deck on the right, hand on the right. Because I'm right-handed, and I would be too worried about dropping my deck if I
Well, so the reason I thought of that was because I just saw Will reaching across, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't look, obviously it's not a big deal, but it's not as convenient as when it's having on the same side. Whoa! I'm even more confused. Will doesn't draw the card with the same hand every time. He drew with his left that time and drew with his right the previous turn.
Just a loose cannon.
I have never seen such a thing.
Maybe it's like a mental tactic.
Sure, yeah, okay. I don't. Maybe if you're like, I really, really need help. Maybe one hand is lucky, and you reach with that hand when you need a top deck. Otherwise, you just go with the other. I'm not sure.
Could just be like if you switch it up and you're using different muscles in your body, it helps keep your brain a little bit more aware.
So you're avoiding fatigue by alternating which hand draws the cards. Interesting take. Maybe that is in fact the secret. Adam Wasburn-Moses. I don't even know what this is bizarre to me. I focusing on stupid things here because it's late in the day and late in the weekend. But Adam drew with his right hand that time. So both players are alternating which hands draw off the deck. I don't think I've ever done that. My left hand draws off the deck every single time. I don't know. Let us know in chat. Am I crazy here, or is this a little unusual? All right, here is.
What does the hot hand mean? Somebody said you always draw with the hot hand. What does that mean? Which hand is the hot one? Does everyone have a hot hand? I'm looking at my hands.
The one that did well recently? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that either. Anyway, while we talk about this for a minute, nothing has happened on the board. There has been a couple of cantrips that were countered and resolved. Here's a Brainstorm from Adam. Got Wastelanded back down to 2 mana. Down to 2 land.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough, but at least had a lot to start off with. And 2 is not too terrible of a place to be in, and now is at least similar on card advantage, but we'll see if these lands end up mattering. I'm inclined to say that having more lands is going to end up being kind of important in this matchup for some of these little duels.
It's interesting, yeah, because having the 4th land being able to get Mystic Sanctuary is really relevant. Beyond that, it's not so helpful, but getting to 4 does matter. Ponder for Adam.
It's gonna be, we're really pondering, really thinking, and
well,
this is so different of a game from
yes, it is
the last ones that we watched.
Yeah, maybe the players are.
All the creatures are at the bottom of both of their decks. Oh, there we go.
One.
We found a Dragon Rage Taylor. Finally.
And it's in for the moment. Will it live very long? I mean, Adam's at 18. The players' life totals are very high. Oh, there's Delver. Okay, so we got 2 creatures on the board. It's not going to be sweepers, so this will require 2 independent spells from Adam to deal with.
Yeah, Adam not playing in the festivities, so can't take care of both of these at once. Also, we might have delirium, so maybe wouldn't even take care of Dragon Rage Chandler.
Okay. Bolt takes down Dragon Rage. There are many more spells that can kill Delver than there are that can kill Dragon Rage Channeler in the matchup, so that makes sense. Also, it probably was dealing more damage, so we don't know, and Adam doesn't know if the Delver is going to flip this turn or not.
Despite being wastelanded, has been able to draw quite a few more lands and get pretty close to back up to speed with Will here. So despite this being a lot slower of a game and a lot less creature-centric, there's a lot of cards in graveyard, and feel like, yeah, I was about to say, we're about to fight over some Murktide Regents, and let's see how this is going to end up going. Exile those.
All right. Adam's not going maximum size here. He could have gone a little bigger. Instead, decides 6/6 is good enough.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, makes sense to not waste extra instant sorceries from the graveyard on it, as the chance of it dying, at least the first one, is quite high. There are now more blasts in the deck than there are Murktides in the sideboard games.
Yeah, and waiting to use that Pyroblast to be able to get that extra Surveil off of a Dragon Rage Channeler, and now a Murktide of Will's Own.
Yeah, all for himself. And now, 3 creatures versus none. Adam's going to need to get to work all of a sudden.
Yeah, where's Damnation?
What is with you guys calling for Damnations?
I'm only doing it because Julian did it earlier, but mine's even sillier because obviously neither of the Izzet players are playing Damnation.
Well, neither was the last time he asked for it.
That's fair.
All right. Fetch from Adam. This being the 4th island, Mystic Sanctuary is an option. There it is. Picks up Iteration. Trying to recover some ground here. Looks like he has 2 cards left in hand, so Ring Iteration will give him access to 2 more with some selection. Needs help. Especially needs to remove that Murktide. Wow.
Talk about a difficult card to see on camera. I think that's Counterbalance.
Lightning Bolt in response. I mean, that has really caught the light at a crazy angle to glow like that.
Yeah.
Yep, that is the Counterbalance from whatever set it came from. I can't remember.
It's the Omniket Invocations.
Yeah, I did open one of those actually at the Pro Tour side event, sealed. I opened one of those, just like that one, and people nearby were chuckling. Oh, Joe opened Counterbalance and he plays Counterbalance. Yes.
Yes, quite funny. Thank you.
Wait, yes, it was riotous. Let me tell you.
And then this is Maddening Hex.
Yeah.
So I like that Will is turning it for Adam to read it. Adam's also playing Maddening Hex, but
this is a curse, so it actually gets played on the opponent.
Fair enough. I feel like everyone's still I guess every time that I've played a curse in Commander, I still keep it near my vicinity.
Ooh, solid 4 damage there. Plus the attack that came in last turn. Adams, this is going to get troublesome real quick here. The Hydroblast, Blue Blast cards can take out the Hex. But one of them's already been played, and I think you said there were 2 total.
Yeah, there's 2 total, but we do have this Mystic Sanctuary, and we could pull a Will last game and just Daze something to be able to return the Mystic Sanctuary.
All right, Lightning Bolt attempted. Dragon Rage Channeler on the top for Counterbalance reveal, so that does get countered. So Counterbalance even in card equity so far, and Will's Delver doesn't flip again.
Oof. I feel like this Will's Delvers have been a little bit
Crappy?
I don't know. Not feeling very buggy today, I guess.
No, they're not. Petty theft
Oh.
for the Dragon Rage Chandler, which might have had intentions of blocking here, and the life totals update. Adam Wasburn-Moses is at 4, which means any additional spells he casts have the potential to kill him 50% of the time. He's on the next one. Here's a Brainstorm. And here's a roll. So 50-50.
Oh,
Adam Wasburn-Moses out of
wow.
here. And Will Kowalczyk comes back and takes down this Delver non-mirror 2-1. So congrats to him advancing through. He may or may not be able to draw next round. Adam Wasburn-Moses at 5-2. 140 players today. So that's on the lower end of the 8-round range. So maybe 6 and 2s get in. So Adam Wasburn-Moses might still be playing for top 8 next round. We and he will have to wait and see. In the meantime, do we have a backup match? Do we have? Okay, let's go ahead and get our backup match. We have Eric Burghardt versus Jeffrey Carr. Delver again versus Death and Taxes this time around.
The Yorion Death and Taxes.
Yeah, all the Death and Taxes decks are Yorion these days, it seems like.
I feel like people were trying some other well, when Luris was big. But now, yeah, makes sense. And like Yorion's just like another little flicker wisp, so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's more like a big little flicker wisp. All right, so this is this is game 1, I believe. Can we clean the pip up off of the chart there, assuming this is not game 2? Yeah, nice. All right, there we go. So this is game 1. And you see this is playing slightly accelerated pace as this match was underway at the same time as the match we just watched was. So we're just catching up, time traveling a few 20 minutes or so into the past. And yet we found another Delver deck. And this one also, well, we'll see. Maybe Jeffrey Carr's Delvers flip more than Will Kowalczyk's.
Certainly gotta hope that you're getting a little bit luckier than Will, even though Will did end up taking that game and maybe potentially showing off the strength of Maddening Hex despite being in the face of a counterbalance.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Maddening Hex has been the top. Everyone talks about the card, says it's very strong, and it certainly looked okay there. I mean, it did some damage. It did maybe 8. Was it? I think it was 2.
Yeah, I think it did 8, but
yeah.
that's still kind of a lot for.
It is for 3 mana. That is a decent chunk of damage. Ether Vial and Chitte here for Eric. Fine development. Although 2 Delvers here. Okay, we'll see it. Can we see it? No. Delvers never flip.
Yeah, do we have a way to manipulate them?
Well, there was a Brainstorm last turn, but then a Fetch Land was played, and this is a Brainstorm again. So this is maybe after the first trigger missed.
Yeah.
So one of them will gain flying this turn.
Yeah, better one than none.
Yes, sure. Absolutely. Reveals iteration. So one Delver takes to the air, sprouts its wings. In for 4. No Vilded, Mother of Runes or such to block. It would be interesting if decks in Legacy play Giver of Runes instead. Does the 1/1 Delver not even attack because it's afraid of getting picked off? Bluffed Vial activation. Nothing doing for Eric Burghardt.
Yeah, this one land potentially going to end up being a little bit difficult for Eric, despite having this Ether Vial.
You can't
I guess there's a Rashad important hand, so
okay.
There's at least that. Oh, did we just not?
We got Wastelanded last turn.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay. Aberration number 2. And now both of the aberrations have wings.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Eric, 14 life, but I mean, Jeffrey is attacking for quite a heavy attack here. So Eric's going to need something to come off this vial pretty soon.
Yeah. Do we know if we have Delirium? It looks like it's just sorcery instant land. I don't know if we have a fourth type in the yard, so that Dragon Rage might only be attacking for 1, and Solitude is going to attempt to be the play, but Force of Will is going to stop that.
Yeah, okay, so that gets knocked out of there. If that Dragon Rage didn't have Delirium, then it's unfortunate for Eric. Doesn't he have something like a Stoneforge Misty that could Violent and just block? But oh, he does. Okay,
Oh,
so there must be Delirium then. Yeah, and Eric drops down to 5.
okay.
Let's see. What was the answer going to be
Oh,
here?
there's a Brazen Borrower in the yard too. Okay, that's what's causing Delirium. But yeah, yeah. What do you even get here? Like Batterskull is likely not going to be able to attack in time
Mhm.
to get any life. He just gets
Well, Baskel is the
a little
choice.
rough.
But yeah, you're right. That's not going to help this turn.
Mhm.
Eric's going to need, I mean, equipping Jitte and attacking and gaining 4 life. That's not enough. That would put
Planar
him
cleansing.
okay. That's a bit beyond our mana capabilities at this point. But good brainstorming.
What else do we got?
Well, if planar cleansing is among the options, then why don't we say Baneslayer Angel? That would actually do it.
There we go. Yeah,
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 that would be helpful. Lyra Dawnbringer. Let's put that out there. Vials at 3. Just need a couple more.
yeah. Pretty close anyway. All right. Yeah, Batterskull to hand. Let's see what Eric can come up with because we got to clear 2 creatures off the board, or we're very dead, dead, dead.
Mm-hmm. Flicker Wisp can handle 2 of them, kind of, as it can block 1 and blink 1. But
Mhm.
nope, Eric doesn't have what it takes and drops that first game there. I mean, you got off to you just didn't put too much on the board. Jitte being your turn 2 play is not very exciting, I think, ever. So
Yeah. It
that
would have been exciting if we could have immediately like if the Delvers hadn't flipped and
sure.
we'd have had a little bit more time. But
Mhm.
the Izzet Delver deck definitely accelerates itself, especially when those Delvers flip a little bit faster than I think Death and Texas can keep up with, especially if it's on the draw like it was there, I believe.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and look at sideboards if we've got them. And deck list for these players.
Oh,
Okay, we're going straight to the game. All right, let's just roll game 2 then. So
here. We can take a look. What are you thinking Eric Burghardt is going to do to try and get this game back? Because
well, there was chat questioning. We saw that Marshall's in play. Chat questioning whether there's actually a black splash in the deck or not.
well, there's not a black splash, but there is a red splash.
All right. Well,
There
enlighten
are
us.
3 plateaus to be playing 3 copies of. Do you want to guess in the sideboard?
In the sideboard, I'm going to guess Pyroblast.
Yep, and
Is
2
there?
copies of Red Elemental Blast.
All right, all right. Do we have? We saw one earlier today where there was Magus of the Moon's main deck. Do we have that here in Eric Burghardt's deck?
There are 2 copies of Magus of the
Okay,
Moon.
I'm not sure those necessarily would have stayed in, but there's something that we saw in the list earlier.
Mhm.
I believe that was Ethan Cummins' deck list. So Jeffrey Carr up a game, Eric Burghardt down a card, and game 2 is underway.
Dave, we know what type of planes it is. It's very pretty. We all know. All of chat can't stop talking about how beautiful this planes is.
Really? What is? I
Yeah,
don't even see what's special about it.
it's just the Thunderbolt planes. Yeah, Julian also really likes this planes.
Okay, I mean, it's not a fairly boring revised basic, so I don't know what people are getting excited about, but all right.
You
All
know,
right.
everyone has their own tastes. I
Exactly.
personally like the APAC kangaroo planes,
Okay. I'm not
really
even
only
pretending.
because it has a kangaroo.
Sure. All right. So we've got Brainstorm for Jeffrey Carr looking for additional mana sources and a tapped
Ooh.
Mystic Sanctuary. Not ideal, but that's what's available.
Not ideal, but that should be kind of a nice little bit of a tell coming from Eric's side as well. And actually, he's going to fetch here and just go ahead and get Yorion to hand.
I mean, if you got nothing else to do, that is nice. Just way to put an extra card in your hand makes Solitude a little easier to handle later on to throw out there. And here's the basic mountain. So Jeffrey Carr, if there was any doubt, will now know that there is Blast available in Eric Burghardt's deck. In fact, there is one in hand. Jeffrey won't be aware of that specifically.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. The deck has obviously changed a lot since I played Death and Taxes. I don't think I've played Death and Taxes since Companions came out, so I'm quite far behind. But seeing the deck has gone so far as to splashing red for Red Elemental Blast certainly says a lot about how often you are likely playing against decks.
Right.
Like was a Delver deck.
Yeah, so Julian was saying, actually, I think I said that wrong. Ethan Cummins was the Elves player, not the other Death and Taxes player. But Julian was saying that this is actually been a fairly recent development, is putting Magus of the Moons into the main deck of the Death and Taxes decks. Here is a Spirit of the Labyrinth, capping players' ability to draw cards each turn at 1, which Expressive Iteration does not care about.
Yeah, nice little work around there. And speaking of that, Expressive Iteration did allow for us to flip into Insectile Aberration, and that rhymes, which extra fun. Did we? Oh, we're just looking. Okay. Looks like a Scalding Tarn.
Getting up in the air is the relevant thing for the Delver decks in this matchup and a lot of matchups. And across here for creature, sorcery, instant land, that's a clean 4-card graveyard that has 5-card graveyard that has Delirium. So 6 damage. That is a good chunk of Eric's life. We see the Yorion displayed there. That is not in the companion zone. That's actually in hand. And if something like a Solitude can get out there to then blinked and dropped off the Yorion, well, that would be a great way of turning around this board state, but it's going to have to be soon because here's a Murktide. So the skies are full of creatures on Jeffrey's side of the board.
Yeah, this is getting to be quite a few creatures that we're looking to have to push through, but thankfully this sideboarded Elemental Blast is going to try and make it a little bit better. Unfortunately, ready for it with this Force of Will.
Yeah. I mean, the Dragon Channeler now has lost flying for the turn, I guess, but creature and instant in the graveyard, so potential to rebuild that. And here's a Pyroblast. So, okay, Jeffrey, do you want to force again? The answer is no. And Spirit of the Labyrinth comes across. Why not?
Not blocking, so what's it going to be next? 3 mana to Flicker Wisp.
Okay. Flicker Wisp, excellent. I mean, this isn't the greatest Flicker Wisp of all time, but resets the Delver and then can block and trade if the Delver manages to flip back over, which, well, okay, strike, not going to be able to block and trade.
Yikes. All right, Jeffrey Carr coming up all aces there.
4 damage across this time. There is a Solitude in hand. Eric would just love to find another land first to be able to hardcast it.
Yeah.
And decides he can't wait any longer. Pitch the Yorion. Solitude with 1 card left in hand. Jeffrey wants to know how many cards are left, and the target is Dragon Rage Channeler. It's out of here. It's a rough 2-for-1, even though it's kind of a 1-for-1 since the Yorion came from the companion zone. But it is, I mean, the deck counts on that resource, and it is expired there.
An Expressive Iteration is going to be follow-up. It's just going to,
All right.
Chain lightning.
Chain lightning off of the island. That's correct. There you go. Off volcanic. That's the way to do it. And Eric can redirect that.
Yeah, could pay
Wow.
for it.
That's
wow.
I'm going to say that Jeffrey didn't see that coming. That was costly.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. And now Spirited Labyrinth, only creature in play, but there are 3 cards in hand for Jeffrey Carr. And just has double bolt on turn. So even though the chain lightning took care of that Delver, it's just not enough. We had the bolts for Daze, more than enough to take care of that game. And fortunately, Eric Burghardt does take an L that round.
Yeah, that's tough because if I'm in Eric's seat and my opponent makes that play, I get excited.
Yeah, we did. We both did. We're not even playing, and we were like, "Oh, we can redirect."
Yeah, but if you're in Eric's seat, you're just like, "Oh, my opponent messed up. Yes, I'm gonna regain the advantage. I'll cast a Solitude. I'll have a lifelinker. I'll dead."
Oh, yeah, and then your opponent's just like, "I just have 2 bolts. You're at 4 life."
Can you beat that? No, you're not playing Force of Wills in your deck.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you should have played Counterbalance with Aetherveil on top of your deck. You're shown that this round. Weren't you paying attention? But no. All right, so Jeffrey Carr is through.